Okay, today we're going to talk a little bit more about JMRI operations and a specific request for developing a route for a train and how you go about it. The program basically has 6 parts to it. As I reminded you, once you download the program from JMRI.com, you go here to operations right here, and you go to settings, go to this part in operations. Once the screen opens, you click that button. At this point, you want to come back over here and click the quit button. Reopen Panel Pro, and then next time it reopens, this will appear at the top of the screen. Then you open up settings again, go through and make all of your necessary things like making it HO, which way does your railroad run, north, south, east, west? You could technically have it run both ways, all 4 directions, but in this case my railroad just runs east and west. Go through and look at all these aspects here. Some of these things are important, some are not. I do not do anything with locomotives because I have so many people come over and bring their own locomotives. I don't fool with it. The key thing to remember here is right here at the bottom. Before you close up for the day, always come back and hit save, and then go hit backup. It puts a backup file. Now this does put a backup file on your main hard drive into where the program is stored, but it is a backup. So if you mess up some of your files and save them before you back them up again and you say, oh, I screwed up, you could go pull those files up out of the backup and use them. But that's not what we're here to talk about today, so let's move on here. The part, there's 6 parts to it. Location, cars, locomotives. Again, I said I do not. The program does not select the locomotives. You can set it up to do it, but I don't, and I don't have to pick up cabooses either. But that's your choice. Routes and trains. You got to start with locations. I've already been through this in another video extensively on how to do this, so we're not going to do it, but that's the place you have to start. Locations. You have to create the locations, then you have to put your spur tracks in, your yard tracks, and or whatever else you're going to try to do to get started. Cover that in another set of videos also. After you get the location, and then you can start adding cars in, and as you add cars, you have to put them in a location. So then once you have cars in, then you can get into trains and routes. To run a train, you have to have a route. So you have to create the route first, and that's what we're going to do here today. I'm going to say something here right off the bat. This program, as you watch it, you're going to see that it looks very familiar to Excel, Microsoft Excel. It's got spreadsheets and everything that act just like Excel. You do not have to have Microsoft Excel to run this program. You do have to have Microsoft Excel to run supporting programs like Manifest Creator. So if you see me all the time talking about Manifest Creator and what it does. If you don't have Microsoft Excel, you will not be able to run my Manifest Creator. So I'll make that clear right now. Don't know if there's a substitute way to get around that or not. I'd have to ask Dan. But it's all based on Excel. I own a copy of Excel, and I have a later version. Getting ready to look at this computer right here. Operates on Windows 7. Yeah, we're living in the dark ages, but we're getting ready to look into Windows 10, and that's one of the things I need to get with my computer guy, is all this stuff and everything I'm going to have that I have, is it going to run on 10? I'm not going out and buying a new or renting, as Microsoft wants you to do, Excel. Not going to do it. I can continue to run this for a long, long time, and it'll function just fine. Everything that JMRI has done up to this point, as far as I know, I can upgrade and it'll work. But that's another whole subject. So getting on to routes, like I said, when you get into this, you'll see, and anybody who's fooled with Excel will know. So we're going to talk about building a route. Now, one of the things that I've done in the routes lead to trains. This is the current list of trains we created. Now, how did I create this list? This is the trains, and you'll see these trains as we go along that exist, and you'll notice some of them repeat, particularly the locals. But this is the way we run the railroad. This is the order of trains. It's designed in two ways. Trying to stop trains from ending up in the same place at the same time, and also getting all the various areas serviced. That's why you see the locals repeat. So we run 7 or 8 trains, and the local runs to go spot the cars that have been left for it to be spotted out at the industries. So you might say this is like 3 days of operations. Now, this was created by me, and I did use Excel to do it. So if I go, okay, so that's how it was created. It was manually done. I had a list of the trains that you can print out. Be careful, don't hit all. Just print the first couple of pages, because it'll give you a detailed list. Mine turned out to be 26 pages long. Okay, I doubt if many people ever get that far, but this was what I created, and this is just a crutch for me to keep track of where we are, because we were kind of stumbling around, and some trains got ran twice, some didn't get run at all. So this is a schedule. So this is totally separate from JMRI. I created this in Excel. This is a standard Excel sheet. All right, if I go, and I close this, if I go to operations and I open up my trains, this is now what my train sheet looks like in Excel. Excuse me, in operations. This is one of the 6 windows. And if, you know, these are all the locals. I've got a little classy here. The locals are in the dark blue. The manifest freights are in the red. And then we start getting into turns. The orange is turns that come out of the industrial yards. The magenta is where it says, the first one says train 42. That's JUN as junction S. That's using a stage train to run that turn. Train 42 is a turn, and it goes from junction staging to all and returns to Apex. I'm sorry, a little further away. Goes to Apex and returns. Yeah. Okay. Now, the problem with using a stage train to run that is when you build it, it's going to find, the computer's going to decide there may be 15 to 19 cars sitting there for it to use. Not all of those cars have a place they can go where it's headed to. So the computer will tell you to leave some of the cars on the stage train on that track. Don't even bring them with you because they don't have any use for them. In this case, this returns. Okay, that was the last time it was run, and the train table's right now in the terminate mode, which I don't recommend. Down here, I recommend you leave it in the reset mode unless you are actually terminating trains, because we have made a mistake and it's a mess. You terminate a train, don't realize you did it, and then you go to try to run trains and a whole bunch of things are in the wrong place. And then you have to go do what we call justify the railroad. Fortunately, I have a crew here that can come in and do that, and periodically we do it. But if you've got a train that's been run wrong and you have to go justify, then you're in trouble. Okay, so to create a train, we go back up here. I'm going to close this. You could have done it from the other one too, but operations, routes. Every train has to have a route. These are all of my routes. Sorry this isn't darker, but I even tried to lighten up the screen. I don't know if I can change the print on this to bold or not, but each one of these are a route. And as you see, you get down into here. Some of these are old, but I know what they attach to. But down here's the newer stuff. Train 40, 41, 42, 43. So that's how you do it. So today what we're going to do, somebody asked how do you create a route. So you go to routes and you go down here and you click add. This is the screen to create a route. Now you have to give it a name. Okay, here's where naming these things gets to be interesting. And you see me with the S and the I and J-U-N and G-O-L. In this little block right here, where it says name, I think you're limited to 26 letters. So we're going to create a name, and for our purposes here, we'll make this TR, and we'll call this 00, and we'll call it J-U-N. Spaces count as 2. J-U-N, industrial. 2. We'll just say apex. Turn. TR. T-U. No, T-U. When I say turn, it tells me that it's coming right back to the exact same place it will start. Now, up here, you can type anything. So we could say this. Oops, got to get over here. This train runs from industrial yard to apex and services all spurs and yard. And you can go on and you can, this is kind of unlimited space. I'm sorry. This is unlimited space up here, and you can add anything you want. All right. So at this point, you've given it a name and a description. You want to click down here, add a route. Okay. Now, once you added the route to the system, then you want to start adding locations. So we know the first location is going to be Junction Industrial Yard, because that's where it's going to get built out of. So there's a Junction Industrial Yard right there. So you click on it. So then we go right next door and we hit add locations. Now, top, middle, or bottom. This gets to be thinking about how your train's going to run. So we're starting in this place and it's going to go down and then it's going to return. If you're working where you're going to put something in the middle, you're going back to an old route and you're going to adjust it and try to put a place in the middle. You better click the middle button, or if it's close to the top, put it close to the top, and I'll show you why as we go along. This is clicked bottom, okay? And display weight, forget what that is, but don't worry about it. You know, it gets into something else. Number of cars at a particular location. It's in the instructions if you go read them. What weight means, and what weight means is not what you think. So just take my suggestion here. If you really want to know what the weight is, better go research it. I don't use it, so I'll just go on from here. So at this point, we click add location. Now up at the top, it's added that location. And the train is headed east. Junction is the westernmost point on my railroad. As far as the railroad goes all the way to San Francisco. But we stop in Junction, Colorado as far as the Eastern Division. So this train is being built out of a yard at Junction, which is a division point for the railroad. So how many moves are you going to do how many moves are you going to do? So this gets into how long do you want your train. You double click on here, and on my case, if we're going to do Apex, because it's got a lot of places to go to, and link the train, we can go out to 1,300 feet on this railroad and still get in the sidings. So 20 cars will work. Now, in this case, that's 20 moves, but we're gonna have pickups, yes, setouts, no. Okay, so you wait. We're not gonna fool with that. We've already set this in settings. The maximum length of a train is 1,300 feet. I know 20 cars will fit in 1,300 feet, and the train is headed east. If this was golden, then you could switch it to west, but it's not. It's corrected east, so we'll leave it east. So when it leaves Junction Industrial Yard and it's headed east, the first place that it comes to on my railroad is Rocky Loop. So you go down here and you find Rocky Loop. Yes, Rocky Loop. Okay? Now, Rocky Loop. So we're still headed east. We're going to put it at the bottom, which will put it right below here. We'll click add location, and there it puts Rocky Loop. Well, Rocky Loop doesn't have any spurs, siding. It's just a location on the railroad. So we're going to make that 0. Okay? There's nothing to service. It's just telling the engineer that's your next stop. Well, actually what we've done here, we've left Junction Industrial Yard, run through the middle of Golden Yard, because that's the way the railroad's set up physically, and we've headed up the helix, and we're all the way at the top of the railroad. So after we go through Rocky Loop, we go down here and we look for Love Pass. Now this is where it gets to be interesting. This is the next stop on my railroad. And we add Love Pass. Love Pass does have a spur. It's the cattle ranch up in the mountains. You could add it if you wanted the train to stop there and service the cattle cars. It takes livestock cars and DGGS cars. That's the leftover stuff from the ethanol plant that they feed to the cattle. In my case here, this train has got a specific mission to go to Apex and service Apex, so we're not stopping anywhere along the way. You can make another train up to do that. So Love passes that location, so we're not doing any work there, so we go on. Now, the Rawlins branch, okay. I gotta find it. West Rawlins branch junction is next. So we add location, and it's there again. There is nothing there to service at the current time. There may be something, but I think it'll be part of Salamosa when I get it finished. But we're not going in there, but that's just a place on the railroad. Then the next one is Tunnel 10. Well, let's see. I don't know. No, I'm sorry. It's Rawlins Tunnel. Rawlins Tunnel. So we click the add location, and it appears. Again, there is no spurs or anything. It's just a location on the railroad. Now, the next one is West Summit. Add this location. Now, there's another one. There is a depot track there. There's also industries that could be serviced. But again, we're not going to go there because we're headed to Apex. So we put West Summit. We're going to drive right through West Summit. We're also at this point up here. We're at the top level of this railroad. We're up top on the 60-inch side. All right, the next place is East Summit. We're going to find East Summit here. East Summit. There's nothing there. So we just put it in there. It's a point on the railroad for reference for the engineer. Now the next place the train goes is Apex. And we're going to go in here and we're going to do Apex, add location. All right, we got work here. All right, so we can go 10. Well, actually we can go 20 moves, and we're going to pick up and set out. All right. You could do pickups first. No, you couldn't. You have to do setouts first. Yeah, because the train's only got 1,300 feet in it. 20 cars pretty much gets out there. You're over 1,000 feet. So you can't. The program won't let you do things if you don't have the space in the train to do it. It'll come up with what's called a bill fail. So we'll leave it both yes and no. But we added 20 cars. Now this is where it gets interesting. This is where we want to go. This is where the work we're going to do. So when we get finished here, we're going back the other way. So we're going to click Apex again, add location. But now we're going to go here and flip this. And we'll let the 20 cars stay. The train is limited to 1,300 feet. You can't go past that. And also the program knows how much space it's got back here at Junction Industrial Yard. So if the tracks, the four tracks in that yard won't handle how many cars it's bringing back, it won't pick them up. So that's, just another point. If you get bill fails when you're billing trains, start looking at space where trains are going, space in the train, and so forth. There is a printout, and I have show you in the other program that I get into it, that will show you bill fails. It is the computer's complete list of it building the train. Do not ever turn on the print button. Some of these get out to 30 and 40 pages. When you open it up and you see it, you just go to the last part of it, the last page, and it'll tell you why it failed. There you got to have a little common sense about logic to say if it was doing this and it won't put that car in there, why won't it? It's the part which I am very good at figuring out. It's what made me create these two staging yards, which technically in the computer program, my two Junction Industrial Yard and Golden Industrial Yard on my layout are not yards. They're 4 spurs. The spur tracks, because I want the loads to flip. We call them a yard and they work perfectly, but I want the loads to flip because I have some situations on my railroad where cars are loaded and empty, i.e. the ethanol cars, the gasoline cars. It makes the whole thing work. So we've come up here and we've gone to Apex. We did 20 and 20. It's 20 moves. That's a pick up a car and set out a car is 2 moves. So even though there's 20 cars in train, you could possibly make 40 moves. You know, once you run this train, then you have to pick it. You have to see what it does, and you may have to fine tune it. So here we go. We've come to Apex. We made all our moves and everything. Now the thing's telling you go back west. First place going back west is East Summit. So you just repeat your steps. Going back, you gotta find east. Okay, East Summit. So you add location, and it's west. Okay, but we don't want to do anything there because there are no industries. So we have to hit 0. Okay? So it's a 0. And we go on and do West Summit. And what I'm going to do here is pause this because you don't need to see me add all this back on. I'll pause it till I get to the very end. Okay, we've added the rest of the stops going back, and you notice they're all zeros. We're not doing any work going back. You do not need to say no. You don't need to change these to no. I don't use random. I kind of try to control the train. You could try turning on random and not put a number here. All these things are just things you can play with, and you just have a field day with it. Now, I'm going to expand this out before Boo the last one because this is part of this you need to say that I didn't show you yet. Okay? This is what's on the other side over here. You see, we've been talking about that area. So you get past maximum length, grade, that gets into the power and the X and Y. That gets into something else with tracking the train, which I'm not going to get into. But if you have to move, if this one right here, you want to hit it and put it up there top, you got to hit the up button. You can add one here. You can move it up, you can move it down, or you can delete it. Okay? Add, up, down, delete. Doing the up and down gets to be interesting because it only moves at one speed. So if you want to move Rocky Loop here, say down here, you want to move it from here to down there, you're going to have to move it 4 times till you get it in the right place. Again, this is something you have to play with and see what it does. But we're going to shrink this back down for the sake of purposes of seeing it on the screen. And we're going back to junctions. So now we have junction and it's add location. Now here, we're going to click no pickups, set outs only. We only want 20 cars back, max. I could left at 50 there, and it may have come back with 50, but or if there was room in the yard, but that's not what you want to do. We're not looking to pull all the cars out of Apex and end up with them in the yard. The program does that well enough on its own, and you will find that out. It tends to move a lot of things down, and then it tends to move a lot of things up. And God knows why and how the logic works to make that happen, but it does. So anyway, we have now created a route for train 00, okay? Train 00. This is junction to apex turn. We've created this route. So we're going to go down here and we're going to hit save route. So we saved it. Okay, so the next thing, we'll close this. And we're going to go back here. And we're going to go to trains. All right, so now we want to go over here. Right there. See where it says add a train? All right. Okay, so now we're going to add this train here, and we click the button at the bottom of the train table, add, and we'll call it train, and I try to keep them the same name now. Train 00, junction, industrial, and you could say yard to apex, APX, turn. And then you give it a brief description. This train runs, okay, dot, 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 dot. You know, they're same like the description we gave it in the route. So we want to go down here because you see all your cars, they're grayed out. So right now the train doesn't have any authorization for cars. So we got to go down here and we have to hit the add train button. Okay, you see train name needs to be less. Here's the error. It's 26 letters. So I got it too long. So I'll just see where we go. I'll just leave it with T. Apex turn. T, turn. So let's see. Okay, so it added the train. All right, now you notice all the cars for Apex, I can tell you where this comes from, are authorized in the train. Okay? So he can pick up any of these cars out of a junction yard and take them to Apex, and there's a possibility of them going in there. Whether they will or not, don't know. But there's a possibility. There is a yard at Apex. It's a 4-track yard that takes all the cars on the railroad. So that's the kind of the reasons why you don't have any problem figuring out what cars go there. You can get down on a train. You can restrict this to, and I have trains, the grain ethanol cars, trains. They can tanks ethanol and hoppers grain, and that's the only 2 cars that the train handles. So you now have that set. Next, you want to come up here and right here where it says route, we want to add the route. Now I've got to go find it. Let's see. Okay, this could be interesting. Here it is. train 00. So we add it. Save route. Okay. Save train. Okay, we can close this over here that opened up. Now, when we go over here now, you notice at the top the list of places the train goes. The one at the top is dark with a check on it. Apex is dark with a check on it. Apex is dark with a check on it. And if we go down here to the bottom, the last stop back to Junction is dark with stop. That is the 4 places, or in this case, 3 places this train's going to stop at. The rest of them, all of them, you're passing through. Okay? So, now, if I go close this is the master train table. And it threw it in right here. Right there. Of course, since I've color coded this, it sticks out like a sore thumb. You get the little check mark there, because it says, you know, you can check off all these trains and then hit the bill button and it'll bill them. But I don't do that. Bill them one at a time. Let the thing fill it. So I'm going to hit the bill button. Okay. We got a fail here. Oops. Got to figure this out. Be back. Okay. So when I click the bill button on the other side, I got right here, report. This is called a bill failure. Okay. I have to go in here and edit. And I have to go down, and this is the train. I know why. I'm going to show you what you have to do. I'll show you what I'm a mistake. But when you get the report, before you can do it again, you got to go in here and reset train. Okay? So now when I go over here, it says reset. Okay. Now, I know what I did wrong. So what we're going to do is the route's wrong. Okay? Right here. Notice at the top we have Golden Industrial Yard. Yes, remember that place? Well, let's see, we're gonna have to get this where I can move it down. If you go to the bottom down here, it says Junction. That's not the same place. That's a staging track. Junction is staging. So where the bill failure, when I went and read the report, it says there was no space in staging for this, which it wouldn't have been because the tracks are full. They got other trains there now. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete this. All right, open this back. So now it's gone. And we're going to go down here to Junction, Industrial Yard, add location, okay? And we're going to make it west. And we're going to go in here and change this to 20. See, Junction, we made it west. And we're going to change this to 20. Okay? Then we're going to go all the way over here. And we're going to click Save Route, since we changed it. And then we're going to go, another screen pops up, the route train, and we're going to say Save Train. Okay, so everything's saved after we made the correction. Okay? Now, we'll go back up here and we'll click the bill button again. Preview. for print purposes, I have preview set up. Okay? Now, this is not Manifest Creator. This is a preview that JMRI generates. You can do this, and this is the preview that you get of the train. You can go right up here to the top, and you can pull down and print right there. You can print it out. You'll get a page with this on it. So these are the cars right here it wants you to pick up. Now, it picked up 15 cars. It said it could get 20, but it couldn't find a place to put 20. So it got a place to, it picked up what it found a place to go put them. Then when you got to to Apex, these are the moves. Remember I showed you 20 and 20? Lots of, you believe me, this is busy work. You can keep somebody busy doing this job. Then when it finishes, it comes back and it's bringing back, let's see, yeah, it's bringing back 20. See right here, trains depart southbound with 20 cars, 1,199 feet. Okay, jeez. I have the program sitting on my desktop. It's right here. This you have to have Excel for. And I'm going to go here. I have to go into options. And I have to enable the content. And then I go over here and I create and save a manifest. The program is all set up to create what's called a CSV file, which works in Excel. I double click on that, and this is your manifest. So that's page 1. That's the next page, and it's designed to where it doesn't. This is the work at Apex. It's not going to split this up. If you notice previous page, this is where you start. These are the cars you pick up. Well, there's not enough room on the bottom to get it all on the same page. So it's set up to where the work goes on to the next page. So this is the work at Apex, and then the next page is the work when you get back to Junction. And you just simply go up here and you hit print, and it'll tell you to print it, and then you get the manifest, and it gives you blocking. There wouldn't be too much blocking on this train, but in fact I don't think there's any. Let me go back. Previous page. Now they got some blocking. Well, no, it all says the same thing. They all go to the same place. So it's now when you get to Apex, if you're working Apex, you'll find out very quickly if you ever come here. You got to separate the cars. So which ones are going front of the engine or behind the engine, because it works both sides, and you need to do that. So that's creating a manifest from that train. I'm going to go ahead and close this. No, we don't want to save it, so we're going to just close it. So, all right, so we're off on Cruise World. I wish we were, believe me. This is just for reference points. This is June 15 in the year that we'd all like to forget, mayhem, 2020. Okay. So there's the created one which we'll throw away. We don't need it. And we'll go back here. It shows up what I'm doing here, just for point of reference. On my desktop, let's see. That's what I'm doing. I'm clicking on the icon. We got the, I'm sorry. So here's the different parts. So I end up back with this up on the screen. The main thing. They didn't go anywhere. So we have now a train up here. By the way, just so you'll know, as soon as this video is over, we're going to throw this all in the trash can. We don't need it. I think we have 2 of these already. Okay? So that's the train we built. It's all set up. Now, we're not going to run it. This is another good tip right here. We're not going to run this train today. Not going to go pull it, make it up and all that, and run it. So if you go look at the cars list, let's get cars out here. If you look in the cars list, you see those 2 cars, you see up at the top, it says destination. Now this is all 600 and something cars, but there's 2 of the cars in the train. They got a destination. I got to clear that. This is where you got to remember how this program works. So we need to go back in trains, and we need to go back up here. You see where I have it. I told you about terminate truck. We're not running this, so we're going to click the reset button. Okay. Now, one thing you need to know about. Let's go back here. Cars. That column right there. The numbers in it. That's the count, move count. We built the train, the move count advanced 1 number. Instead of 24 or 25, it's now 1 more. When you reset the train, it does not subtract 1 off. So you start building and resetting a train a whole bunch of times, the car movement counts go up, even though they did not move. Car movement count numbers in the beginning, we didn't have this. We did not have a way to easily reset this. Back a few years ago, Mr. Thibodeau decided to give us this thing, and you can go in up here, tools, reset moves. You click on that, it'll turn all these to zeros. It'll move all the car count to zeros. Right now, everything on my railroad seems to be moving good. Got a few cars we've added to the layout. And one thing about it, when you add a car to the layout and it's in trains and it gets used with low movement counts, those cars always get picked first. It's the way the program works. It's going to pick those car counts with low numbers. Because you see, well, I got some with zeros, but what you have there is a passenger car for a mail train, which I never have completed working on. So it's kind of in limbo. Cars around, but we haven't put it into work yet. You go down here to the bottom, right there, 635 cars this program's playing with. When it was originally written, been told by the man, this was not in his thoughts. Which is, you know, we've worked our way around all the little issues that have come up, but it works. This is the one thing I say about it all. It's free. You can download this. It comes available for Apple, Windows, and Linux. You can download this, run it, and it doesn't cost you a dime. If you go up here, and this is the one thing I want to show, help, Windows, all right, right here, see where my pointer is, right here. When you click on that, you get here, Operational Pro. It is a complete set of instructions. I printed this out when I first started many moons ago. It was 58 pages long. But here's the outline. Cars, locomotives, you can go to each section and it gives you instructions. I also remind everybody there is a JMRI chat room. iChat and Yahoo chat, it's the same one, but they're in both locations. But there is a chat room. The only thing I tell you is when you get ready to post, start it off by putting OPS semicolon ops. That way, when the group sees the question after ops, some of the people who are very familiar with it will answer right off the bat. But that's where you click up there at the thing, right up at the top, where it says help. Click at help, Windows message, and then you go down and find operations. Okay. It's under applications. Okay, let me see where I am. Okay, applications. Applications. Operational Pro. Okay. All right. Now, one other thing about this. And get this down here. Found this out the other day. Didn't know this. It's the old story. You learn something every day. It's 2 programs here. You're going to get 2 programs. It's called the Decoder Pro and Panel Pro. Guess what? If you got that one open, this one will work. If this one's open, that one will work. Okay. You can only have one of them running at a time. Yeah, I learned it. I kept saying, well, why won't this work? Okay, because I'm not into the Decoder Pro thing, but I do know how to use it. And I had an issue with the train and trying to get it to run together with another engine. And I knew there was some things set wrong in there, and I had to go in and look at it. It's a great tool, terrific tool. By the way, it's one of the reasons why you have to kind of update your program periodically to the last full update. When they say it's the final version, you got to kind of update, because any new decoder that comes out, they get the information and it's in the decoder thing. You can do the intermediate ones, but it's really not that necessary. But to get the Decoder Pro to work right, you need to keep it updated with all the data for all the different decoders. But this is the one we use for the what you just saw me do, Panel Pro. All right, so I'm going to cut it off here. I think we've got winded enough, and I'm going to go edit all this. And y'all keep your heads down, be safe, all right, and keep the trains running.